And
Meeting is being recorded.
yeah, and in August, we were able to basically go visit and like interact with the organizations in South Africa, which were rated as the good practices in apprentices. And today, we are pleased that we are here to share some of the good practices from India. So happy to have all of you here. And to begin the webinar, let me invite Gabriel to moderate the first session. Gabriel, I hope you're here already. And just one information that this meeting is being recorded. So I hope there is no objection to anybody. In case there is, kindly do let us know. You can write the message in the chat box. Thank you. Over to you, Gabriel.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anita. I was surprised and I was not informed that I will moderate the first session. So, but anyway, okay. See, maybe we can start. Can you share the agenda?
Yeah, sure. So, Gabriel, in the very first session, let me just share the 2 points of the first session. The opening remarks will be given by Srinivas. And before that, we have welcome remarks by Ravi. So could we can invite Ravi first?
Yeah, I suggest Anita, you start the facilitation, that I will just
Okay.
because I was really surprised and I was not informed about the stage.
I'm sorry about that. So let me just start the webinar then. So friends, it's a pleasure to have this webinar under the project called South-South Triangular Cooperation, where the participating countries are India, China, South Africa, and Ethiopia. To welcome the participants who have joined us from all these countries, I invite Ravindra Presas, to give his welcome remarks. Ravi, over to you.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, Ravi, we can hear you.
Senior officers from India, South Africa, China, and Ethiopia engaged with National Ministry responsible for apprenticeship and from other relevant organizations engaged in the apprenticeship system. Representatives from employers and workers organizations, ILO staff engaged with the SSTC project, ILO colleagues from Skills Headquarters, Geneva, and the partnership divisions in Geneva. Good morning and good afternoon to all of you. It is my very pleasant privilege as officer in charge of the ILO Country Office India and the Decent Work Team for South Asia to welcome you all for this webinar for sharing good practices in apprenticeship. This webinar for sharing good practices in apprenticeship is being organized under the South-South Technical Cooperation Project, promoting quality apprenticeship in India, South Africa, China, Ethiopia, and Switzerland. As the name indicates, the SSTC, or South-South Triangular Cooperation, promotes cooperation between participating countries, which is in this case are China, Ethiopia, South Africa, and India. SSTC project is built on the concept of capacity building. Capacity building is implemented through knowledge and experience sharing. The tools used for this range from peer learning, sharing good practices, policy dialogues to find solutions to common challenges, and capacity development of the constituents through study tours and matchmaking between needs and solutions in the global south. The rationale of this project is based on a very proactive learning model that promotes cooperation over competition and a culture of shared growth. One of the activities promoting peer learning is a sharing of good practices. China and South Africa have already shared their good practices in apprenticeship. Today's webinar will focus on sharing two apprenticeship good practices from India. As we all are aware and have experienced, the sharing of good practices contribute to the capacity building by providing opportunities for learning, enhancing innovation, building networks, and improving performance. It is an important tool for organizations and individuals looking to build their capacity to achieve their goals. I'm sure you will find today's good practices extremely interesting and relevant. For some of you, these good practices might inspire solutions to some of the challenges your apprenticeship system is already facing. The good practices today will be presented by our partner ministry, which is the Ministry of Skills Development and Entrepreneurship. This webinar today is one of the last activities under the SSTS project, TC project, promoting quality apprenticeship in India, South Africa, China, Ethiopia, and Switzerland. Hope you find the presentations insightful and inspiring. I wish you all a productive experience sharing webinar that will be interactive and inspiring. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ravi. It was really nice to know that we have been able to take up this project, and now we are towards the one of the last activities under the project. So thank you very much for your remarks. I go over to Mr. Srinivas Reddy now, who is the branch chief of skills at ILO in Geneva, the head office. Srinivas, over to you, please.
Thank you very much, Anita. Thank you for taking this very good initiative. Let me join my colleague Ravi in extending a warm welcome to all the representatives of the governments, employees, and workers' organizations from these 4 countries, India, China, South Africa, and Ethiopia, and also the other colleagues from academic institutions and our ILO staff. Thank you for joining, and thank you for your interest and time this today. I'm grateful for the successful completion of the high-level policy dialogue and capacity building workshops in Pretoria, South Africa, and would like to thank everyone who made it possible, especially the tripartite participants from India, South Africa, Ethiopia, and China. I am also grateful that this webinar today is attended by not only the tripartite constituents, but also a wide range of stakeholders on apprenticeships from each country who are crucial to realize quality apprenticeships. I will take this opportunity to touch upon some of the key aspects that are of great interest for us globally on apprenticeships, promoting apprenticeships, and dealing with several of the issues. As we are all aware, it has become ever more important to build an agile workforce that is capable of navigating the fast evolving labor market through appropriate and timely skilling, reskilling, and upskilling. You all will agree with me. Apprenticeships can be an effective solution as it bridges the gap between education and training system and the world of work. Because one of the challenges the world of work is facing today is a triple crisis, which is jobs, skills, and aspirations mismatch. First of all, there should be adequate number of jobs for people to take up. When there are jobs created, employers complain that they are not getting people with the right set of skills. So there is a mismatch between jobs and skills. A third and important dimension also, there may be jobs and skills, but what are the people aspirations? So can we match the aspirations of the people? So jobs, skills, and aspirations mismatch. In this triangular dimension, it is very, very important to look at apprenticeships as an opportunity because that actually addresses the key 3 dimensions, particularly the last 2 dimensions of the aspirations of the individual, because the person is subscribing to join the apprenticeship clearly reflects the interest and aspiration and aptitude of the individual. At the same time, in terms of the availability and suitability of the jobs. So according to a survey in the UK, 86% of employers started apprenticeships allow them to develop the skills that are relevant to their organizations. So when there is such a high relevance, questions are increasingly being asked as to whether apprenticeships, which is a centuries old system, is relevant for skilling, reskilling, and upskilling in the context of the uh, continuous change and in future of work and lifelong learning. There is a need to bring about modernization and transformation to realize quality apprenticeships. As we all know, apprenticeships are successful in varying degrees in different countries. How to get the buy-in from all key relevant actors for apprenticeships? Key question. Do we have the buy-in from all the relevant stakeholders? How to make apprenticeships attractive to younger generation so that the youth employment and unemployment issues can be addressed? Are they interested in joining apprenticeships? If so, who are these people who are interested in joining? How to increase the participation of enterprises in apprenticeship offers, particularly the enterprise in new economies, that is green, care, and digital economy, in addition to other economies that are relevant to each of your countries, where a large number of jobs are likely to be created in these countries. More importantly, what is the role of employers and workers' organizations in promoting apprenticeships? We need to reflect, in my humble view, are we listening to them carefully? Are we paying adequate attention to their inputs, suggestions, and ideas? This is very, very important because the employers and workers organizations are the key labor market players in addition to the government agencies. So are we relying heavily on any of the one actors, or all three tripartite partners are fully engaged or not? Is there a stigma in the uptake of apprenticeships associated with low levels of academic achievement? It is not secret that we hear that in some countries, people are considered, apprenticeships is considered as an option for people with low levels of academic achievement. We need to really examine in each country context what led to this stigma and how to address this systematically with all segments of the society. In countries like Switzerland, 67% of the school leavers at the end of senior high school, they go to apprenticeships, 67%, highest in the world. Whereas in some parts of Asia, it is as low as 2 or 3%, not, not in the 10s and 20s, but less than 10%. Why, if apprenticeship is so relevant for the labor market and for the individuals, what is preventing people from taking apprenticeships? You know, we need to probably ask these key questions honestly and enter into a dialogue. Another dimension, we need to also ask a question as to why small and medium enterprises are unable to offer apprenticeships, what support system they would need. Accordingly, you know, whether it is incentives or other barriers that need to be addressed in the uptake of apprenticeships. So I'm raising all these questions only to deliberate today and in the future, so that, you know, we're able to reform and promote apprenticeships to make it attractive for young and older workers, small and medium enterprises, and all enterprises in all sectors of economy. It's not just for industrialized industries only, but all sectors of economy. So it is in this context that I would like to draw your attention to the new recommendation on quality apprenticeships, which was adopted at the 111th International Labour Conference. The Quality Apprenticeship Recommendation 2023, recommendation number 208. In our view, this offers a very good potential for countries to reform apprenticeship systems and promote apprenticeships. Let me share a few salient features of the recommendation, as most of you have in fact joined the International Labour Conference, would know the details. I would not go into too many details, but will raise a few issues for your consideration. The main objective of this recommendation is to support the creation of opportunities for people of all ages to become skilled, reskilled, and continuously upskilled in the rapidly changing labor market. As you would see from this recommendation, it is an aspirational standard taking into account the varied situations across the globe. As I mentioned, in some countries, the apprenticeship uptake is very high as more than 50%. In some countries, it is 1 or 2%. And in many countries in Asia and Africa, informal apprenticeships and apprenticeships in informal economy is the standard, that is widespread. So therefore, the ILO has taken into account all these variety of situations and put this as an aspirational standard. It clearly outlines the definition of apprenticeship, which itself, for example, why we need to define apprenticeship, because it is understood differently in different parts of the world. So this recommendation offers a very clear definition. What is quality? What is apprenticeship? It also outlines how a regulatory framework need to be developed based on tripartite participation. It outlines the rights and protection of apprentices. It also gives a very clear guidance on a written apprenticeship agreement and what it should contain. It talks about equality and diversity in apprenticeships. This is another important dimension, because even where apprenticeships are being offered, a vast majority of the apprentices tend to be men. Very little uptake from the women and girls. So why is there is no gender equality and balance in apprenticeships? What needs to be done? What is preventing girls and women to take apprenticeships? Similarly, what can be done to promote quality apprenticeships? The recommendation has a wide range of guidance, and also it offers guidance to promote international, national, and regional cooperation on apprenticeships. For the first time, it also says that steps should be taken for promoting international recognition of apprentices, even beyond the country. So therefore, I would like to appeal to all of you to consider examining the recommendation from your country perspective, and it may require, because one of the main features of the recommendation says that the quality apprenticeship recommendation contents need to be integrated into your national policies on education, employment, social development, gender equality, and economic policies. So my appeal to you would be to consider implementing the recommendation by reviewing your national policies, programs, guidelines, and instructions on apprenticeships. What might need to be changed based on the recommendation. Once you go through that detailed examination, then you will realize what might be more relevant for your country context, and how it can be, because this is an aspirational standard, and it provides a lot of guidance. From the ILO, we would be more than happy to support in this exercise should you need ILO support. So please feel free to request support if you consider it necessary. Let me turn to a couple of new dimensions before I close. On the digitalization of apprenticeships. This is an age of rapid transformation, and technologies are affecting every part of our life, and starting from childhood to the grave, everybody is affected by digitalization in some way or the other. So the topic of good practices to be presented by the Government of India today, digitalization of apprenticeships, is extremely relevant, not just for India, but for all of us, all the countries, implementing apprenticeships across the globe. So ILO project on apprenticeship development for universal lifelong learning and training, supported by Flanders, government of Flanders, concluded that digital transformation of apprenticeships is an essential step in the modernization and transformation of apprenticeships. Digital technology plays a crucial role, not only to enhance learning experience, but also to make apprenticeships more attractive and accessible, as well as to streamline its management process. I'm eagerly looking forward to both these good practices from the Ministry of Skills Development and Entrepreneurship, Government of India. Let me take this opportunity to thank the official of the ministry for taking the time and presenting this. In closing, distinguished delegates and friends and colleagues, based on the ILO apprenticeship recommendation, as I mentioned earlier, we stand ready and be happy to support our constituents, both at the policy and practical levels in realizing quality apprenticeships in your countries. I hope today's webinar will help facilitate knowledge sharing and peer learning. This is very, very important. In terms of South-South and triangular cooperation, we attach a lot of importance to promoting knowledge exchange between Global South and also using the triangular cooperation possibilities. I'm really grateful for our colleagues, particularly in our partnership department, Anita and team, for facilitating this South-South and triangular cooperation. We definitely want to do more. So we will continue these various forums, including through BRICS and other G20 we have supported, and we will continue to. Similarly, through other forums, we would like to see that more action happens. And if you have any good ideas, please feel free to suggest and let us know. With these words, once again, I would like to welcome all of you and hope you'll have a fruitful discussion today. Thank you very much. Thank you, Anita.
Thank you so much, Srinivas. We really have noted those two very crucial questions that you have raised regarding participation of both the youth as well as the SMEs in apprenticeship, and also the fact that digitalization in apprenticeship is key, especially with all the upcoming technology and the green and etc. Yes, the recommendations, I know like most of the country would have seen it, but thank you for telling us that the countries are, like the ILO is willing to support the country in implementing any part of the recommendation that they would like to look at, and they feel that is crucial and relevant for their apprenticeship system. And from the country level, I think it will be important for us to follow with that with our ministries. So thank you very much for your opening remarks. Before I move on, I would like Anita, who is the unit head of partnerships in head office, to give us her, ideas. And for 2 minutes, Anita, over to you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Really 2 minutes, because I think I have some closing remarks later on, but I just wanted to really say thanks to you, Srinivas, all the colleagues that spoke, Gabrielle, and also the tripartite partners from the countries involved, and also India that is also hosting now this effort. So just to really thank for all the good practices, and agree with Srinivas that I think South-South and Triangular Cooperation is a great vehicle for doing this. The study tour was a proof. In fact, we have Duncan Chando, I don't know if he has his camera, that now he's in a different capacity in a different project. So I also like to thank Duncan and Ruchira and Yukari for all the great work that I've been doing with you. And I think it's definitely, I'm just taking advantage because I'm sure that Srinivas will have other things to do and he will not stay for the whole workshop. So I'm taking advantage of this 1 minute to thank all of you, because it's been really a great effort. And it does show that when you are working together, there's great results. I think the study visit to Pretoria, Johannesburg, and everything you've done there was fantastic, and really visiting vocational training centers and with concrete experiences. We have a lot of coverage in our South-South meeting point. I will put here in the chat for those who are accessible to the chat of everything we have done. There's a very interesting report. There was one by Anita, one by Duncan, one group one. So we have lots of reports that are coming out there. And I think it really shows that this is a successful experience that we should continue, and we should definitely showcase so that other people beyond us, which is the group of friends here of this South-South Triangular, and also that some of these countries, as Srinivas well pointed out, are also in the BRICS. So that's also interesting to promote that. BRICS and beyond, but now we have an expanded BRICS. So I think it's interesting that some of the countries here will be also in the expanded BRICS. And I think with that, having Ethiopia with us makes a lot of sense too. So I think that was really a nice selection. And I think that was even prior to knowing how the BRICS expansion would look like. So over to you, Anita, and thanks to everybody. And talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Anita. So now let me hand over the moderation to Ruchira to introduce the workshop agenda and the participants. Ruchira, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Anita, and a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who have joined. We have participants literally joining from 4 different time zones, from different continents, from different countries, and over, I will say, 1.5 years, we have stick together, and we have more than 50 participants as of now, which shows the interest and level of commitment from each one of us. So thank you very much for the active participation. I will just briefly mention the agenda so that we move forward with it very soon. We already had welcome remarks from our officer in charge, Mr. Ravi Perez, and then we heard a lot about how to go forward on quality apprenticeship from Mr. Srinivas Reddy, who is branch chief at Skills. Going forward, we have 3 set of presentation, since Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship is doing the presentation. So they will start with presentation on providing glimpse at India's apprenticeship system. And it will be followed by the key agenda for today, which is sharing of 2 good practices. The first one is on digitalization. And as mentioned by Anita, this was also a key area which was identified by all the stakeholders during the high-level policy dialogue and capacity building workshop, which was held at Pretoria. And it was mentioned that it will be good if India can present on digitalization of end-to-end processes. And we are very privileged that ministry has agreed on sharing of this good practice. And the second good practice is collaboration between the central and state governments in India in apprenticeship promotion. This is also a very critical area, knowing that India has center as well as different provinces, which is very unique in many aspects and will be very, we understand, will be very helpful for other participants joining from different countries. And then after that, we will have a quick session where we will request the participating countries to present their or to share their key takeaways, especially from Ethiopia, India, China, and South Africa. And then it will be followed by the closing remarks by Mr. Gabriel, who is our skills specialist. So this is a broad overview on the agenda, and in the as Anita Emron mentioned, she will also be mentioning more about her insights during the closing session. In terms of participants, as we all we can see from the participant list, we have participants joining from all these 4 countries. We have people joining from government, from social partners, employers and workers, and also people from other organizations who are involved in apprenticeship promotion in their respective countries. We have ILO staff joining from ILO headquarters. We heard from Srinivas and also from Anita, and we thank them very much for their active participation and contribution and actually facilitating this entire process since starting. So thank you very much for skills branch and also to partnerships to take this process and to initiate this process. We have ILO staff who are involved in these 4 countries from India, China, Ethiopia, and South Africa. And also we have people who are part of the ecosystem and we thought would be interested to know about these practices. So we have a large ambit of people who are joining this webinar, and we hope that it will be really useful and fruitful. And as we move forward, we will be able to put these practices more in place. So that's a brief about the workshop agenda and participants. And I think in view of time, we can move forward with the presentations. And I will hand over to Anita to moderate the session where Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship will be presenting glimpse and also the good practices. And once again, we thank everyone for joining, and especially Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship to take out the time and also to share these good practices. Thank you, Anita. Over to you.
Thank you, Ruchira. So now that we're running a little bit late in terms of time, I'll straight away hand over the presentation, and let me invite Mr. Anand, Mr. Arvind, the Deputy Secretary from Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. He is working in the apprenticeship vertical of the ministry, and he will be making the first presentation, giving us a glimpse into the Indian apprenticeship system. The idea was that Indian apprenticeship system is a bit complex. So before we look at, the entire digitization and the other presentation, it will be good to get an idea as to what the system is like and what are the challenges there. So over to you, Mr. Arvind. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Anita. I'm really overwhelmed and really thankful that have been provided this unique opportunity of setting the tone on the apprenticeship ecosystem. So at the outset, I express my thanks to the ILO team for setting up the context. Mr. Ravi, ILO team from India, Mr. Srinivas, the chief from ILO Geneva, and the ILO team from India over here. So I thank you all for providing this opportunity, and all the senior officers and the team members and the stakeholders who have joined from the South-South Triangular Cooperation from the countries of South Africa, India, China, and Ethiopia. I really thank you all for being a part of this. It's a very unique opportunity for all of us, as the apprenticeship ecosystem is one of the most important attributes of how we are going to scale up the world employable opportunities. So I thank you all for being part of this important webinar. And from the ministry and from our Honorable PM's vision, as well as our Ministry for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Shri Dharmendra Pradhan ji, and our honorables and our respected secretary and additional secretary, it has been our initiative to scale up and have a very important role of how apprenticeship ecosystem can play a big role of how the young population can be tapped into employable opportunities. So apprentices occupy a very important role or a part or constituent in the process of skilling and employable and generating the employable numbers or the scalability of opportunities. From my side, there's a special message from our additional secretary, Dr. Krishna Kumar Divedi, that sir has, due to some very pressing commitments at the nth moment, he was not able to join us for this webinar, but he would have always loved to be a part of this. And it is under his leadership and initiative that we as a team from Ministry of Skill Development are looking after and taking up the apprenticeship division. So without much time, I will just be going through my presentation. So I will just start over. So is my screen visible for all?
No, Arvindji, we are not able to see your screen.
Just one second. Is my screen visible now?
Not yet.
Just a second.
would you like us to share your presentation?
Just a second.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So is my screen visible now, ma'am?
Yeah, we can see your screen now.
Thank you.
But we're
So,
not able to see the presentation.
are you able to see the presentation now?
Not yet.
So I think it would be better that you can share the presentation,
Sure.
ma'am.
Sure. So we will do that. Yoginder, can you help us share the first presentation?
Sure.
Yes. Thank you. If you can make it in the presentation. Thank you so much, Yoginder. That's lovely. So Arvindji, over to you.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, can you make it in the presentable one? Yeah. So under the apprenticeship training in India, we have the Apprenticeship Act of 1961 and the Apprenticeship Rules of 1992. The apprenticeship was initially with the Ministry of Labor and Employment, which was post transferred to Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship from 2015. There have been quite a few amendments with regard to Apprenticeship Act in 1961, then 2014, and again the apprenticeship rules were amended in 2019. The scheme of National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme, the ambitious scheme, which is a flagship scheme of the Government of India, was launched in 2016 to incentivize the establishments engaging apprentices. Next, please. Next slide. Yeah, that's it. So the NAP scheme was launched on 19th of August 2016 with the aim to promote apprenticeship training in the country by providing financial incentives to the establishments undertaking apprenticeship programs under the Apprentices Act of 1961 and providing advocacy assistance to support rapid growth of apprenticeship in India. Just with regard to this point one, I would like to mention here that as per the Apprenticeship Act of 1961, all those establishments which are hiring more than four, at least less than four, at least four to maximum of more than 30 need to hire or engage apprenticeship in the percentage of maximum of a minimum of 2.5 to a maximum of 15 percentage. So this is as per the act, as in which those establishments which are hiring the employees or contractors to the percentage of more than 30, each establishment has to engage the apprentices in their establishments. And for this, we have a unique governing setup under the central level by a central apprenticeship council, which is called as a CAC, and with at the state level, we have the State Apprenticeship Council or SAC, which are aided by central apprenticeship advisors and state apprenticeship advisors, which that is how we try to enable and bring in an institutional mechanism to see that apprentices are engaged in the establishments. Coming to the components, we have the centrally sponsored scheme. It is a central sponsored scheme which is 100% funded by the central government. Sharing of 25% of stipend, that is up to a maximum of 1,500 per month to the establishments, and sharing of basic training cost of up to 7,000 for a maximum of 500 hours to the establishments is given. So far, currently, the government of India has spent under the NAP scheme 6,180 million for the financial year 16-17 to 21-22. Next, please. As per this current slide, we will be taking through what impact the NAP scheme has given. So you can see that there is a 59.5% CAGR with respect to the apprentices enrolled from 1819 as on 31st of March under the NAP scheme. And the number of women apprentices who have trained have increased from 0.05 million in financial year 2021 to 0.14 million in financial year 22-23. How the current financial year 23-24, approximately 4.2 million apprentices have been engaged. And coming on to the demand side, where we have the active establishments, we have around for 37,000 active establishments have been engaged in 22-23, And presently, for the current financial year, we have a total of 41,782 establishments, and which we will be trying to again scale it. Next, please. The new scheme of the NAPS 2 has been rolled out as per the budget of 23-24, in which it is from a central sector scheme, it has been moved to a centrally aided scheme, in which there is a release of government DBT of rupees 1500 directly to the account of beneficiaries. That is, this 1500 goes directly to the bank accounts of the apprentices who will be engaged, and there will be no reimbursement of basic training to the basic training partner. Duration of apprenticeship training will be restricted to 1 year in terms of optional trade and 2 years in terms of designated trade. And there will be no stipend by MSD to apprentices engaged in the central and state governments and PSUs. Why? Because the rationale here is that the same kitty, it is money flowing from the consolidated fund of India to again to the state governments only. So hence, because of this rationale, this stipend support through the central, through the state governments has been taken up. And we have a budget envisaged for the NAPS 2 scheme of 19,420 million, with a target to enroll 4.6 million apprentices for 4 years, starting from financial year 22-23 up to 25-26, which has been approved by our Expenditure Finance Committee, EFC. Next, please. What are the major reforms which have been undertaken is that the Apprenticeship Act 1961 itself has witnessed 5 amendments so far: 73, 86, 97, 2007, and 2014. And the apprenticeship rules, which were notified in 62, have been superseded by apprenticeship rules of 92, which have been last amended in 2019 in order to keep tune with the changing times and requirements. As I've already told, that through the direct benefit transfer scheme under NAPS 2, the government contribution of 1500 is directly credited to the beneficiaries, that is the apprentices. Next, please. As Mr. Srinivas, the chief from ILO, was talking about the importance of having convergence and digitalization. Towards that step, we have come up with a unique one-step portal of an apprenticeship portal, which is a very user-friendly portal under which all the stakeholders are brought under one single common umbrella. So different departments, different ministries, different agencies, different state governments, and so all other stakeholders were running in silos. So the approach of this portal has to bring them all under one common convergence, so that there can be ease of transfer of information and ease of access for all stakeholders. So as per under this unified portal, it has been designed and introduced for multiple stakeholders, as I had mentioned, for candidates, establishments, third-party aggregators, basic training partners, sector skill councils, apprenticeship advisors, state apprenticeship advisors, and state skill development missions. And the portal is equipped with user manuals for different modules, instructional videos, act and guidelines, frequently asked questions, notices, and recent amendments. The portal acts as a bridge between the candidates and establishment to fulfill demand and supply. It has an interactive dashboard and reports for real-time data availability vis-a-vis age, gender, caste, state or UT, district, sector, course, job role, training duration, claim status, DBT payment. And this interactive dashboard is on a real-time basis, which can be used by the administrators as well as other stakeholders. The URL for the portal is www.apprenticeshipindia.gov.in. Next, please. The progress so far is that from the financial year 16-17, we can see that there has been a substantial progress in terms of the numbers of apprenticeships which have been engaged. For 16-17, it was 0.11, it was a 0.11 million, whereas now it is 2.73 million. A total of 0.86 million apprentices have been engaged in the designated trade, and 1.44 million have been engaged in the optional trade. And 1 million plus apprentices have completed a training till 30th of September 23, and currently ongoing are 0.7 million. The women participation is a total of 0.49 million women apprentices have been engaged under the scheme. 20% of total apprentices engaged are women, which has been an increase of 18% from the NAPS to NAPS 2. As on September 23, 41,000 active establishments are there, which are engaging the apprentices. The budget allotted is 5570 million, and expenditure up to now is 1530.4 million. Next slide, please. As we said, Anita and Srinivas sir would have mentioned with regards to these states across and the skilling ecosystem, how it transpires. So these are the snippets with regards to which are the top 20 states which are engaging the apprentices. Maharashtra comes first with figure of 0.56 million and active establishments of 7,000. So these are the top 10 states starting from Maharashtra, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Haryana, Karnataka, UP, Uttar Pradesh, Telangana, West Bengal, Madhya Pradesh, Delhi. These are some key states which are running the establishments and apprentices engagement. And on the right side, these are our top sectors: automotive sector, retail, IT and IT enabled, electronics, BFMS, life sciences, tourism and hospitality, capital goods, management and entrepreneurship, and telecom. Some of the major trades under the designated ones which are very popular are the electricians, fitter, retail trainee associate, and some of the private sector organizations, big MNCs, which have been engaging maximum number of apprentices are Reliance, Future Retail, and presently the automotive sector has engaged the maximum apprentices, which is closely followed by IT and IT enabled sector. Next, please. Next slide. So as I was talking about the direct benefit transfer, the Honorable Minister of Skill Development introduced the DBT under NAPS on 21st of April 22. Since July 22, 82,000 apprentices got benefited under DBT pilot, which was worth INR 415 million. As per the communication received from the Ministry of Finance, now, as I mentioned, the NAPS has been transferred from a central sponsor scheme to a central sector scheme. Why we have mentioned over here is that under the Skill India program of Minister of Skill Development, there are 3 Skill India programs, which are the PM Kaushal Vikas Yojana, the National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme NAPS, and Jan Shiksha Sansan. These are the 3 flagship schemes of the Ministry of Skill Development. So these all have been transferred from a central sponsor to a central sector, which will aid in the release of fund disbursement and monitoring and implementation mechanism. The entire NAPS2 has been allocated under the umbrella of Skill India program, which I just recently mentioned. The implementing agency for these schemes is NSDC, National Skill Development Corporation. The online DBT was launched on 27th of July, and the formal DBT has been launched from 11th of August 23. And we are closely monitoring the DBT dashboards and DBT mechanisms which have been rolled out to the apprentices who have been engaged with the establishment. Since April, 0.695 million ongoing contracts on the portal, out of which 0.558 million are DBT eligible contracts. The eKYC has been completed for 0.55, and close to 98.4% of contracts have received the DBT, which is a very, very high success percentage with regards to the mass and the uniqueness with regards to the DBT mechanism, because the DBT payout has the different steps of procedure for being implemented. And considering all these challenges, the government, the ministry, as well as our implementing partners have been able to deliver these results. So 0.17 million apprentices during July 2023 and 0.21 million apprentices during September 23 have been benefited. IN are close to approximately 600 million, if we talk about October, would be released through DBT, have been released through DBT. Next slide, please. In order to make the apprenticeship system more inclusive and diverse, which is one of our key focus areas, close to 1 million plus apprentices have been engaged in the manufacturing sector. And across states, 0.25 million have engaged in central and state and PSUs. And coming down to the aspirational districts, close to 0.147 million have engaged in 104 aspirational districts across 2,400 establishments. When it coming about inclusivity, 0.2 million apprentices have been engaged across 4,000 establishments across 133 tribal districts from the financial year 1819 to 2324. 0.1 million plus apprentices have been engaged in 1534 establishments in 67 LW affected areas. MOUs have been signed with common service centers, and this is the overall dimension with regard to the courses. Total number of courses are 809, designated trades are 266, and optional trades are 543. Some big industrial companies like ICICI and big insurance and MNCs have been engaging these apprentices across 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months. Next slide, please. So these are the key areas or key big industries which have been engaging these apprentices. They come up to one of the top 100 MNC companies in India, which have been quite handsomely engaging the apprentices, who are one of our very important stakeholders in trying to upskill the ecosystem. So that is all from my side. I thank you all for just giving a brief glimpse or introduction of how the apprenticeship ecosystem is spanning in India. So once again, thank you all for providing this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Arvindji. And your presentation really makes us wonder about the complexity of the system. Of course, India is huge in terms of population, in terms of its geography, etc. But even the apprenticeship system, to keep pace with the requirements of the country, that too is complex. So thank you so much for your presentation. And I think to really address the complexity, what we also require is the digitalization of the processes of apprenticeship. So with this, I hand over to Mr. Ramesh Babu for the presentation on digitalization of end-to-end processes of apprenticeship. Mr. Babu, over to you, please.
Yeah, thank you, Anita ji. I'm very happy to see all our colleagues who have been in South Africa. And before I start with, I convey my sincere thanks to my secretary and additional secretary for allowing me to participate in this webinar, and also thank my deputy secretary for giving an opportunity to be here. Before I start with, I thank the complete team of ILO India for supporting this great cause, and convey my thanks to Mr. Ravi, to Mr. Srinivas, and also to our dear colleagues like you, Anita ji, Ashwini ji, Rushida, Yukira, and everyone who have been part of us. Thank you very much. And as you know that this is one of, as we spoke also, the success of the apprenticeship. As you know, our country is, India is highly diverse. Okay, it is having a lot of challenges in terms of the implementation of the apprenticeship also. But the one platform which makes us all get connected together is the portal that we have. So digitalization has paved way to move towards a success zone in terms of apprenticeship engagement also. Also, very important thing is that it has also led to people from far-flung areas to understand and reach on to the establishments for gaining an opportunity of apprenticeship also. So this is one thing which we are able to do it. Now, since the time is too short for everyone, I will straight away go to the presentation part. Let me share it. Is my PPT is visible, please?
We can see the PPT, Mr. Babu.
Yeah, thank you so much.
If you can put it in the presentation mode.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done that. So
that has not happened. No, it's still in the PPT mode, not the presentation mode.
Okay, I'll retry again.
Yeah.
Is it fine?
Not yet.
Okay. But I think it's okay. Yeah, we can go ahead. It's not a problem.
Okay.
No, Anita.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so let's continue.
Slightly enlarge it so that
that will
and
be
also fine. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, now it's better. Thank you so much.
Okay, so the first thing is about I think I have to reduce it slightly because it has to fit in. Fine. Is it visible now?
Perfectly fine.
Okay, thank you. So as you know that the portal, our portal, which is is a one thing which brings in a lot of change in the apprenticeship engagement. Okay. So to begin with, before I enter into the thing, we just give a small brief about the benefits for the employers, right? It helps enhancing employability for the youth. It's a nation building through skilling. It has got enhancing employability for youth, nation building, opportunity to build a stable organization, develop disciplined and regulated skilled manpower, steady stream of skilled workforce at entry level, make better selection of regular employment, no obligation to hire apprentices, apprenticeship route less costly in long term, and ease of doing business through apprenticeship portal with end-to-end automated process. So the main thing is that we allow the establishments to have a ease of doing business. That is the one thing that we wanted to focus upon. Next, coming to the apprentices, it is again we can see that there are benefits which involves potential it's earn while learn, potential progression from apprentice to employee, trained through latest technology and recognition process, industry oriented training, globally recognized certification. So coming to the apprenticeship portal, it has got the areas that we look into is this unified apprenticeship portal is for multiple stakeholders such as candidates, establishments, third-party aggregators, basic training providers, sector skill councils, assistant apprenticeship advisors, state apprenticeship advisors, SSDM, etc. So we have the portal has to accommodate multiple stakeholders, which is again a big challenge, but we are successfully able to conquer it. Next, the portal developed for unskilled and semi-skilled and skilled candidates, and it is for as you know that in India we have two different ministries which do the implementation of apprenticeship training. One is the Ministry of Skill Development, another is the Ministry of Education. Ministry of Education deals with diploma and degree holders, whereas all other below that are handled by us. Now, this portal happens to be with us, is very, very crucial, and it brings the bridging between the candidate and as well as the establishments, and also all other stakeholders to do the requisite activities. The portal is also equipped with user manuals for different modules. Instruction videos are there, and it supports all necessary details which will help a stakeholder to go through what the apprenticeship system is. Then also we will find that there is a very nice search bar which are available, which will help the users to search for the requisite information. So our portal is the URL is www.apprenticeshipindia.gov.in. So this is how our homepage looks into. So the homepage has got registrations for mailer, technical support, login and register button, recent notices and sliding messages, get started user manuals, apprenticeship opportunity, list of TPA empaneled, instructional video for different modules, etc. So we try to bring in a portal which is very, very helpful for a stakeholder perspective so that everyone can access it with much easiness. So the next is about again the opportunities, that the search of opportunity. Any establishment which are about to engage an apprentice will be able to raise an opportunity, and the candidate can search for the opportunities through the search bar. And these numbers here are slightly older one, and please do not get changed with the current data. Now coming to this other informations, it supports notices, it supports announcements, it supports approved courses and guidelines and recent opportunities that have been posted with. So the portal also supports acts and guidelines, OMs and notices for use of all stakeholders. The more important thing is about the candidate registration, which happens through the portal. So vital informations are being captured. One is that the use of Aadhaar. So India has got a unique system, the Aadhaar identity number, which is very unique of its kind, and the system captures this for multiple purposes, for release of fund and also to for the purpose of doing a eKYC. So mobile numbers used are also being unique, and email IDs being used by the candidates are also unique in this regard. Then once the candidate submits his registration and everything, he will be given with a registration number, and he will be asked to check his email ID for an activation link. Once the activation link is done, the boy has to enter into the candidate dashboard for entering all necessary profile information so that his profile in the portal is complete in all aspects. Now he can choose the opportunities, and he can start applying for those opportunities which are existing. As you know that the candidate can also opt for in India, there are the opportunity that which we say is in establishments lies under two broader categories, namely the designated trades and the optional trades. So the designated trades are the trades which have been approved by the Central Apprenticeship Council and had been notified through a gazette notification. All other courses have been industry validated and are being as treated as optional trades, which allow the industry to come with a quick curriculum for a quick industry requirement, any opportunity requirement. So that's fundamentally the difference between this, because the designated trades a long time, it needs a larger time to get it approved and also notified, whereas OT trades can come quickly to the requirement of the industry. So based on that, the boy or the girl can apply for any of the designated trades or optional trades. Okay. Next is coming to the sorry. So next is the establishment registration. The establishment registers similarly. Okay, there is a registration link which is available for the establishment. Here also the mobile number and the email ID are valid and has to be valid and unique. And they can register as to the requirement, like whether it is what is the type of company, whether it is a society, company, or a trust. And more important is it is also need to give the unique our PIN code for mapping purpose. This is very, very crucial in this regard. Coming to the next screen, again, it is the name of the contact person is also being captured with. The mobile number of the spokes are also captured with. Email IDs are very unique, and also it also tries to capture whether this particular establishment is also engaging apprentices under the other apprenticeship portal, through other apprenticeship portal also. As I said, again I'm repeating, Ministry of Education through its Board of Apprenticeship Training is implementing National Apprenticeship Training Scheme, which is a other scheme for diploma and degree holders in short. So we also capture those information so that we will know that this particular establishment is engaging all categories of apprentices. Okay, so that the confusion whether this establishment is not engaging or not will be cleared with. So again, the process is same. They will get an activation link. Through the activation link, they will come and again come back and fill all other relevant informations for which the establishments have to fill. So the establishments can fill in their opportunity. They can see they can send the invitation. They can see the select the candidates. They can send the invitation to the boys to the selected candidates. They can get back the acceptance. So all processes are involved. And second thing, again, they can also make payment through the stipend payment through the portal also. This is again a feature which has been enabled. Those companies which would like to make the payment through the portal also, they are allowed. So stipend payment could be done. If the establishment doesn't want to do all this apprenticeship activity and they want to do through a TPA, then a third-party aggregator link is also available. And further, with respect to the progress in the training, the establishment dashboard also supports, screen also supports the attendance criteria, the basic training courses, etc. So it is a completely the complete requirement of the apprenticeship cycle, starting from creating an opportunity by an establishment, finding a candidate, sending an invitation, generating a contract, getting the contract approved, all takes place through the portal. Okay. So the establishment registration finally comes like this is a small view in which the establishment will look like once they are able to do it. Now coming to this, the establishment registration has got a very, very clear kind of identifications that they have to make, which the portal essentially takes care. Like what is the category of the establishment is, whether it is being funded by some other schemes of the ministry, whether it is a trust company or partnership, whether GST is applicable, yes or no. Okay, whether there is they wanted to engage PWD, yes or no. and all essential things are being part of the establishment registration. I'm just skipping through this again. Coming to this, after filling all the basic details, establishments will also give the clear addresses. They will give the name of the spoke. They will give the head of the establishment details, how many cities they are operating, whether they would like to have, under which jurisdiction they would like to fall under. All will be decided through the portal. So when coming to the jurisdiction of the establishment, whenever any establishment which is under the apprenticeship training will be essentially be monitored through an apprenticeship advisor. So basically, an apprenticeship advisor could be either a central apprenticeship advisor, which is the RDSD, which governs establishments which are operating in 4 or more states, and the rest will be monitored by the state apprenticeship advisors. So basically, there is an option for the establishment to choose their who their advisor is in case they are operating in 4 or more states. And coming to the because this establishment registration is quite a detailed one, which actually gives the complete what you call the the complete action towards engaging of apprentices. So the employee details have to be provided. Basically, based on that, the portal will decide upon how many apprentices they can engage, and all details will be captured through the portal also. So coming to this, I would say that the location again is very crucial, whether they are operating in more than one state or not, in which location their OJT locations are present. For example, a company's headquarters could be, for example, it could be in Delhi, but its OJT location would be elsewhere. So there is still a choice in the portal to select their OJT location so that the contracts will be generated accordingly. And the entire process from registration to DBT is digitized on the portal. Now, coming to this, apart from this end-to-end digitization, there is one more element, which is the apprenticeship advisor, which does the monitoring, which is an essential critical point in this portal, which is again links who approves the contract of contract generated between the candidate and the and the establishment. So the entire process is digitized on this. Now, as sir has already intimated that the NAPS 2 has been our new version of NAPS has been launched with. The government initiative is in the form of a direct benefit transfer. So for direct benefit to transfer, the portal is also being geared upon. So the direct benefit transfer, that means any establishment, this is a critical thing that is available in the portal, because establishment makes a payment, number one, through the portal. Then the portal checks whether the payment has been done. Number two, based on the payment receipt information confirmation, the system triggers DBT payment to the candidate. So this is a very, very critical element in the portal. And we have a turnaround time of around 72 hours from the time of payment by the establishment to the payment to the Government of India share to reach the candidate. So again, to make you clarify that, the establishment makes a payment to the candidate through the portal. Number one, the payment reaches the candidate. Okay. Whereas based on this trigger, our portal now triggers a DBT, which will have a turnaround time of 72 hours. It could happen even quickly also, or a maximum of 72 hours. And DBT rollout has been happened from 1st July 2023 onwards, and this launch has been made by our Honorable Minister of Skill Development. And DBT dashboards are available on the portal right now. And next important thing is about the important criteria of the whole process is assessments. As you know, once the training is completed, again I'm coming back to coming back to give you a clarity on the optional trade and the designated trades. Under the designated trades, mostly designated trades have our graduates from ITI colleges entering into this system. So for making them the ease in process, the portal and ease in process, ministry has decided that their previous education, previous training that happened in the ITI will be considered for issue of certificate. Accordingly, only the practical assessment will be carried for these ITI boys. And once the practical assessment is done, practical marks are entered, and internal assessment and other things have been attendance are entered. Once the boy completes his training period, for example, if a boy completes his training period today on 26th, in next 1 week, he can download his certificate from the portal, provided if he had passed the practical examination. So this is the system that we have evolved out for those candidates who are with the ITA. Now, again, when coming to the other category, and the designated trade, which means fresher candidates. The fresher candidates are those categories of candidates who again can do a designated trade along with an ITA boy, but they have to, since they don't have a pre-technical knowledge or experience, they will be made to do a complete training for the duration as mentioned as per the syllabus of the trade. Okay, so the fresher candidates will do a training. For example, for a fresher candidate, if the training period is 2 years, he will do the training for complete 2 years. Whereas for an ITI boy, based on his previous ITI experience, ITI certificate, he will get a rebate in the training period, and which may be even from 6 months to 1 year. Accordingly, he will be doing a shorter period, but he will get the AATT, means the NAC certificate. Okay. So now on this basis, the ITI boy gets his certificate from within 1 week after completion of the contracted, provided all his assessment marks and practical marks are entered into the system. It's an automated process. And for the fresher boys, they have to appear for an examination. For the examination process, examination process starts from the portal. The boy will initiate the payment. It will go to the payment gateway. He will make a very small amount of payment, and then he will be registered for the examination. He will sit for the examination. He will be able to get a downloaded hall ticket from the portal, and he will be notified where is examination center. He has to reach the examination center where he will take a computer based test. And once the computer based test is over, the examination marks will be transferred back to the portal system, and marks and certificate will be generated in a period of 15 to 20 days. This is for the fresher. So I have given you about the designated trade where the integration of the portal has happened. When it comes to the optional trade, the certification process is lying with the SSCs. We have 36 SSCs. So SSCs do their assessment, and then they upload the marks into the portal. So this is about the assessment process that is happening. And for all grievances in the system, we have a technical support through a Zogo ticketing tool, which allows the user to log in and raise the grievance for which a ticket number will be shared, based on which the grievances are getting resolved. And this is the ticketing tool thing. And basically, to come with the NAPS 2 concept, to quickly bring into your references, establishments will be paying 75% of the stipend to the apprentices. 25% will be given by Government of India via DBT. And now here we have also restricted that there is no reimbursement for basic training providers, which are earlier there. That system has been removed with. Partial stipend under NAPS will not be given for those with age limit 35 years and above, whereas they can do a training, but they can't be able to gain Government of India initiative support. Okay, and there is no funding support for government departments and public sector undertakings. And this is about the DBT launch. Again, DBT has been made through the portal, and the formal launch of DBT was made on 11th August 2023. And here we say that these are the checklists for successful implementation of DBT, which is all enabled through the system. I will not go much into it, but there are a lot of intricacies that we have brought into it. And there are still challenges that we are facing it to get the DBT cleared without much glitches. But we are clearing them off also. So with this, I think my presentation ends with thank you one and all for hearing it patiently. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Babu. And we all understand it's really a very complex system, And of course, the as I said, the Indian apprenticeship system itself is complex. So we will be able to share the presentations with all the participants. And I think they will get an opportunity to go through it once again. And in case there are further questions, could be they can write a mail back to us. We will be happy to respond to your mail and help you clarify those doubts. So when we move to the third presentation, so now what we see is that the Indian government is really trying to promote apprenticeship. India still is at very low rate of apprenticeship as compared to the other countries. I think we just have about 7, youth who undertake apprentices out of every 1,000 people employed. So which is a very low percentage. Many steps have been taken by the government. So there's one recent action which has come up, and I think I would invite Mr. Arvind to make a presentation on that rather than me talking about it. So Mr. Arvind, over to you.
Ma'am, just a minute. I'll be sharing you the presentation.
Sure. In the meantime, if you have any question, please use chat box. You can write in the chat. We will try to see how many questions we can answer on the chat, and the rest we can also take it post the presentations. Thank you.
Yeah. So is the screen visible, ma'am?
Yes, it is visible. If you can just make it presentation mode, it will be easy. Otherwise, you can continue.
Yeah, I have made it. So is it visible now in the presentable mode?
Well, no, it's still not in the presentation mode. But I think you can continue like this.
That's fine.
Thank you.
So towards
That's perfect now.
This part of the presentation, I will be taking you through the collaboration between the central and the state governments, as I told. At the central level, we have the scheme which is being running through the National Apprenticeship NAPS 2 scheme. And across the states, the support is being given to the apprentices directly through the direct benefit transfer. And the establishments are most of them spread across 16 to 17 major states. So the state government has its own unique setup and institutional mechanisms. And so this presentation will be talking about the convergence and collaboration of how the center and states go about on the apprenticeship ecosystem. So under this, we have a program from the World Bank called as a STRIVE, which aims for building of, which is a central sector scheme developed by Government of India with World Bank custom. It is 100% of Government of India funding, which is based on achievement performance, which is based on achievement of certain disbursement linked indicators. So under STRIVE, there are 4 result areas which are part of it. The result area 1 is improving performance of ITIs, that is the Industrial Training Institutes. Result area 2 talks about increased capacities of state government. Result area 3 talks about improved teaching and learning capabilities. And result area 4, which is being given for the industry, which is being given covered under STRIVE for ITIs, is improved and broadened apprenticeship training. So as we started the presentation, Mr. Srinivas was mentioning about the gap with regards to the market and the apprenticeship system. So specifically, in order to address the gap, we have come up with this STRIVE, which talks about or which integrates or talks about the Industrial Apprenticeship Initiative or the IAI. So as I mentioned, under the STRIVE, these are the following disbursement linked indicators. And with regards to the IAI initiative, that is the Industrial Apprenticeship Initiative, our 2 DLIs are that an industrial cluster which has been enrolled under the IAI should have started at least in 2 different apprenticeship programs, either in the designated trade or on the optional trade. And it should have at least more than 20% of female enrollment in the industry, in the apprenticeship system, either on DT, or this on the designated trade or on the optional trade. The governance structure with regard to this, we have the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, the National Steering Committee, and the National Project Implementation Unit. And we have a State Steering Committee, we have a Project Steering Committee, we have a State Project Implementation Unit, SPIU, and we have a State Apprenticeship Monitoring Cell, SAMC. The SAMC is one of the most important institutional mechanisms in this, because these are the ones which have been set up in the states, which would be reaching out to the industry clusters in setting up the Industrial Apprenticeship Initiative proposals. The RE4 talks about improved and broadened apprenticeship training. So the STRIVE program is an initiative to empower and capacitate MSMEs to participate in formal apprenticeship system through a cluster-based approach. The support to the state government are emphasis on institutional capacity building, setting up of state apprenticeship monitoring cell, annual grants based on category of states, filling up the vacuum of a dedicated institutional setup at states focusing on apprenticeship training, develop partnerships with establishments and apprentice mobilized resources, capacity development of stakeholders in government and private sector. The support to the private sector is industry apprenticeship initiative is to set up apprenticeship implementation cells in 100 industry clusters. These apprenticeship implementation cells would be an enabler in helping out the industry, the establishments, and the apprentices to engage and be a part of the ecosystem. Building the capacity of establishments in a cluster mode, infusing the responsibility of driving apprenticeship through the cluster as an innovative and institutional setup. The RA4, the IIA benefits for the industry clusters are each industrial apprenticeship initiative or each cluster would be given a funding of 10 million to establish an apprenticeship implementation cell. The AAC will act as a facilitator for the MSME members and other establishments in the cluster. And we have a very detailed institutional and implementation mechanism with how this AIC and SAM, State Apprenticeship Monitoring Cell, would be enabling this. The overall responsibility for implementing the IAI scheme is on behalf of the members is the Apprenticeship Implementation Cell. They would be designing and implementing the curriculum for the apprenticeship programs, prepare a detailed IAI plan and encourage members for creating apprentice training opportunities, conduct capacity building programs for the members on apprenticeship training, set up basic training infrastructure in the cluster or explore partnership or identify basic training partners. They would be designing the courses or facilitate the design for need-based apprenticeship, train company supervisors and staff members, build capacity for member enterprises in the cluster to undertake apprenticeship, encourage the members to hire women apprentices, provide support services to apprentices who become eligible for All India trade test and join the part of completion of apprenticeship training program. The following are the milestones. Maximum fund of up to 10 million is given to each cluster. And through this, we have a tripartite agreement between the ministry, the state government, and the industry cluster, which is valid for the entire duration of project period. So this was a World Bank funded project. It started from 2018, and this project is going to come to an end by May 24. And this STRIVE cluster under this RA4, the following are the milestones wherein 40% of the funds are released on signing of tripartite agreement, 20% on minimum utilization of funds, 30% on 100% utilization of funds at milestone 1, and minimum of 25% of funds should be utilized for milestone 2. The last tranche of 10% is a minimum of 50% of planned apprentices must either be engaged in apprenticeship training or should have appeared for the trade test. The key result areas or the 4 KPIs and milestones for the IC clusters are, as I said, it was a signing of tripartite agreement, capacity development of staff for participating enterprises and other stakeholders, signing of apprentice contracts between employer or industry and apprentices as stated in the IIA proposal, submission of project completion report. So that was the first part of the presentation was in regards to how we would cater or tap to the industry clusters or industrial establishments to promote them and engage them and incentivize them to engage the apprentices in the ecosystem. The second part I will be taking about each state government, apart from the incentive, how they would be going about with the support mechanism. For example, one of the best states, one of the best states to come up with some
May I please request the participants to mute your
hello. Yeah.
kindly mute your mic so that we can hear Mr. Arvind. Thank you so much. Yes, Mr. Arvind, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Anita. So there are some state governments in India who have running their own apprenticeship schemes apart from the national apprenticeship scheme. Like one of the best state is to do is the Goa, state of Goa. We have a chief minister apprenticeship policy for government establishments which has started from 20th of June 23, under which apart from the national stipend support, they are giving support to the apprentices from a tune of 9,000 to 15,000. Now, 9,000 per month stipend support is given up even up to 5th to ninth dropout. And then for the 10th dropout, it is 10,000. And for the 12th dropout and the special courses which the candidates have done for them, it is 12,000. And for the degree apprentices and technician apprentices, they are giving 15,000. The under the Gujarat, we have a Mukhyamantri Apprenticeship Yojana. For the graduates, 3,000 per month is given. For diploma holders, 2,000 per month is given. And below diploma holders, 1,500 per month is given for apprentices. And for promote women engagement in the apprentices, rupees 1,000 per month in addition to the national component apprentices support is given for the women apprentices. With regards to Karnataka, there's a state, we have Karnataka Apprenticeship Training CAT scheme and Asha Deepa scheme of Labor Department, wherein which monthly payment is reimbursed to establishments or those who are engaging the socially disadvantaged group, and apprenticeship training of 5,000 per month is given to these establishments. And under Kerala, we have an apprenticeship promotion scheme of 1,000 in addition to the national component which they were making. And in Madhya Pradesh, we have Mukhyamantri Yuva Kaushal Kamal Yojana, wherein 75% of support is given to apprentices and remaining 25% is paid to the establishments. The benefits is given to the domiciles of MP and all type of establishments within and outside MP. With coming to Maharashtra, in addition to the national component, monthly stipend support of 5,000 per month is given to the apprentices. And in Uttar Pradesh, the Chief Minister Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme has rupees 1,000 per month per establishment for apprentices. So this is with regards to how the center and state convergence is happening through the apprenticeship ecosystem. And we as a partner with the international organizations, ILO, and the best practice, we have been tracking the best practices from across the globe in order to scale up the apprenticeship ecosystem. And one important component was that with regards to Stripe, wherein we try to bring in value and enhancement for the industrial apprenticeship ecosystem, which also World Bank funded for it. So I thank you all for having a patient listening, and I hope I could enable you to illustrate and understand of the convergence of how it's happening in center and states. Thank you. Thank you, Anita.
Thank you, Arvindji. Thank you for this really insightful presentation. So now what we really see is one, that the participation of women in apprenticeship in India has been increasing. And in the last annual report, it was mentioned that 20% of the participants in apprenticeship are women, which is quite a
Yes.
promising figure for India. Secondly, we also see there's an urgency from the side of the government to really promote apprenticeship. And therefore, various schemes for incentivizing the apprentices, the youth, as well as the industry, are being brought in. And the recent one that was presented shows that how the financial incentive to the company and the youth have been increasingly given so that they become attractive enough, like the apprenticeship become attractive enough for them to really take it over. With this, let me invite questions. We have 5 minutes for the questions because we are already running out of time, but 5 minutes will be good. So if there's any question, just raise your hand.
Anita, there are already 2 questions which are posted on the chat box. Maybe I can speak it out and then ministry can clarify. The first question is put with regard to AIC. So Ms. Swapna Mishra has asked that more information is required on AIC and who will set up the AIC. This is the first question. And the second question is for state government apprenticeship. Should the candidate be domicile of the state or undergoing apprenticeship in the state, but maybe domicile of any state pan India? So these are the two questions which I can see as of now in the chat box. Will request participants to post more questions if they would like, but meanwhile will request ministry to address these two questions, and then we can see if more questions come up. Thank you.
Yeah. Under the Strive Partnership Program, we have the industry clusters initiative, where in each state there will be certain industry clusters which have been identified. For example, there are certain industrially developed states like Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Maharashtra, and all. So we have some electronic sector, electronic cluster, handloom cluster, manufacturing cluster, automobile cluster. So these are some clusters like in which should be there. So for these clusters, funding of 10 million for each cluster is given to set up an industrial apprenticeship initiative, which is called as IAI proposal, Industrial Apprenticeship Initiative. So the industrial cluster comes up with a proposal to the State Apprenticeship Monitoring Cell, SAMC. And under this SAMC, you have the Apprenticeship Implementation Cell. So the question is with regards to who would be in the Apprenticeship Implementation Cell. These stakeholders from the SAMC, that is from the state department or state government who are handling the apprenticeship, and the industry cluster representatives who would be implementing the industry apprenticeship initiative would be part of this apprenticeship initiative cell, implementing cell. So if this is but this is relevant to a particular cluster or a particular state where this apprenticeship implementation cell would be formed. They would be reporting to the state apprenticeship advisors, SAA we call.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Arvindji. Swapna, what we will do is that because these are very, like deep questions, so we will get a separate meeting with the ministry and could be a separate webinar with the ministry to answer these detailed questions on the Indian system. So if you don't mind, we can do that somewhere next week or the week after that. And because we are really running short of time, and I'm sorry for that. So in case it's okay with you, can we move to the next session then?
Anita, before we move, I will just read out 2-3 more questions, but maybe we can take them subsequently. But I think it will be important to highlight these questions. The other question is from Ethiopia, and Ayalu has asked that are there any experience of integrating employment services center and the apprenticeship program? And also again from Ethiopia, they have asked about how is stipend decided. We have a case at stake where the private sector and government sector skill coordination is not reaching a consensus. So these two, I think, are important questions, and subsequently we will be addressing them, or I will request if sir can just take a minute to address, because these are important questions specifically coming from Ethiopia.
I agree with you, Ruchira. Please go ahead.
So, sir, if you can just highlight key aspect in terms of integrating employment service center and apprenticeship program, and also how is stipend decided? Thank you.
Yeah. With regards to integration, we have at the national level as well as a state level apprenticeship monitoring cells. Under the state level, we have our institutional setup called as the State Skill Development Division and Apprenticeship Divisions. And in the state level, we have our representatives called as the RDSDEs, who are our representative from the ministry with regards to taking over the convergence of the schemes of apprenticeship running in the state as well as the national level. And they are actually our implementing partners with regards to monitoring and implementation of the guidelines of the national as well as the state level. And they are also backed by a legal act which I had mentioned with regard to Apprenticeship Act of 1961 to see to it that establishments who are big establishments who are hiring more than 30 workers in their staff role or staff strength are hiring apprentices or not. So that is one part. And then with regards to the second part of the presentation, which our Joint Director, Mr. Rakesh Babu, had made, we have come up with this digitalization process wherein we have a convergence of all ministries in one single portal called as a Skill India Digital Program or SID portal. So this SID portal is a big enabler for all these important stakeholders to be a part of the ecosystem. We have the I had mentioned about the apprenticeship portal. The portal is also linked with the Skill India Digital Program, SID program, which has many stakeholders in that. So the candidate as well as the establishment can see their demand, mismatch, supply, and all these things. It's a kind of win-win situation where the convergence happens from both the demand and supply side. So the details of the Skill India program will be shared to you in the course of the course once the webinar ends, wherein our honorable members from across the countries and counterparts can have their and go to the portal and see the views and share their thoughts on how it can be further taken up. That was with regards to the first part of the question of how convergence happens with the employees and the engagements. The second part of how the stipends are decided is the stipends basically are decided upon the minimum wages act as per the national and state components. So we have a minimum wages act for the skilled labor, highly skilled, semi-skilled, and degree or graduate category. So based across that category, based upon that, we have the stipend support being given. And apart from that, each state has its own apprenticeship state support mechanism of deciding these stipend support. And I would like to have my Joint Director, Mr. Ramesh Babu, who would also further illustrate on this aspect.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. One thing which I would like to state here, Ethiopia's question is how to fix the stipend rate. In fact, we have been adapted to using of minimum wages earlier to fix the stipend rate. And as you know, minimum wages per day will be determined by every state, and it will be notified by every state, and it varies from state to state, from our provinces to provinces. This was causing a lot of discomfort, and later on we moved on to a fixed stipend rate for our apprentices. But however, this is the way in which, in case Ethiopia is having a minimum wages concept with them, which is normally notified by the labor ministry of the country or the labor department of the country. And if they have such a system in place, they can well be making use of the same concept, because Ethiopia is not a big country as we do have, and it is not much, and it will be more easy for them also to get an average cost of the minimum wages throughout for Ethiopia and fix as a stipend rate. So this could be a suggestion for them to work. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. There is another question on the chat, but if you can just respond to the question in the chat box, that will be good. Mr. Babu and Mr. Arvind, if you can just write in the chat, that will also be good. Thank you. So thank you, everybody. And moving to the next session, rather to the last session, I invite Anita from Partnerships in Geneva to take over the key takeaway sessions. Thank you, Anita.
Thanks, Anita. It's such a pleasure to be in the Anita team. So very nice to have heard all the important initiatives in India, and also the lively debate that has been ongoing. So very interesting aspects such as gender, enrollment, cost of apprenticeships, guidelines for the implementation of national apprenticeships, the usage of manuals, youth employability. I mean, many takeaways were said here. And I would also like to mention as well that we had, just recall a little bit, I think most of you have been there, this great capacity development workshop that happened between India, China, South Africa, Ethiopia. And we also say Switzerland, even though there was, I think, no Swiss authorities, but the colleagues from Geneva. So I think this was a great example of how South-South cooperation can really help people learn from each other. There were some concrete good practices shared. We have a whole channel in which we have posted most of the good practices that have happened. I think I posted there on the chat, but I might be able to show you as well, just very quickly. I think Duncan Chando, that was in our team, and now he's actually working in Kenya, so maybe in a child labor project. I think he's here as well. He might want to say some words. Was also present there and can share later some of his own takeaways. But let me try to share my screen very quickly. Yes, so basically, this is what I have already showed you once, but I'm just going to show again, just to see how we have been active, you know, even tweeting what is happening right now. So you see Srinivas here in the toolbar. And whatever happens here, we have so highlights section here. So the different highlights, and our work is very high up in the agenda of this highlights. So if you look at it carefully, you'll find. Then we have a section here where we have publications. So all the publications that have been done in the framework, including of this study, are here. I'm kind of afraid of clicking it right now because it will probably mess up my screen. And then we have some thematic spaces. And here I'd like to show you, because this is a little bit the result of the great work that you all have done. There is a section devoted to skills and jobs creation. I'm not sure it's following. If you see a jobs creation and skills development screen, if you're seeing that, that means all is good. And then there is a specific section that we created for what we've been doing lately with skills. So we have, for example, the virtual training that happened with Brazil, the GCC and skills, job creation and skills in general. But here we have a special tab for India, China, South Africa, Ethiopia, because I think it deserves a special tab. And here you have all the reports that were published. So the full documentation, the different videos, you see here Johnny Musa Bayana in the opening. So everything that happened, including the photo opportunities and whatever, is very important. So I think that is important for us to also keep touch. When you go back home here to home, not back home because we are in a webinar, so you're at your home, not far away. But you have also spaces like Facebook, LinkedIn, that you can be friends to these pages. And I'm the manager of the spaces, so I can, of course, immediately allow you in. And if you have been in trainings with Turin, like the eCampus, then you can enter here. Now, I think if I go to more publications now, I probably can do that. You will see all the publications, including what happened with the high-level dialogue. So you see there's a lot of wealth here that is all captured, because I think also our critical, including your PowerPoints, everything is there. So for us, I think our very important concern, and here again, I also thanks once more the joint director Babu for his statements as well, is that we keep also this wealth of good practice accessible to everybody and shareable to everybody. So I have copied in the chat, but I'm sure it's very easy for you to access this. It's www.southsouthpoint.net. But I'll copy it again in case you haven't taken note, because we know that Zoom often disappears after you start talking. But anyway, we are in touch by email because I've been communicating with you. But I just wanted to say this is a kind of a very nice journey, and like to thank my Anita Sharma, but also Ruchira Chandra and Srinivas and Ashwani, Duncan. I mean, all the people, including my whole team. Yukari also, that has been very proactive. So it's a bit almost sad that we're ending, but it's very happy thing because we will continue next biennium. I think it's very important to continue proposing very concrete cooperations. I would say now we have all this Indian experience that was exposed to us, but concrete cooperations with China, South Africa. I would even say that, you know, it would be useful to have Brazil also because of the BRICS, and also Ethiopia, that has been very proactive as well. So I think let's continue this way. my takeaway is that this experience is very rich from India that we heard today, and we can share it with the countries that we work with in Asia, but also Africa and the Americas. So I see Srinivas is also still around, which I'm very happy. So thanks, Srinivas, also for normally directors and of departments don't stay for the whole workshop. So it's very good to see that we managed to capture the attention of everybody until the end. And I think this has been mentioned also in many of our programming meetings. So which proves that for us it's it's really have been ingrained, this cooperation. Srinivas will certainly agree that what the Indian government, the governmental teams, but also tripartite partners, but also China, South Africa, Ethiopia have been doing is really starting a new type of cooperation, which we like to continue. Over back to you, Anita.
Yes, thank you so much, Anita. Well, as you said, the Anita team. So thank you so much for being with us all through this journey. And it's been amazing to really receive the kind of support that's been given by your team in taking up these projects. So as we agreed, could be we can have some words from the participants in China, Ethiopia, and South Africa. Would anybody like to speak on the presentations we had so far, or even in the earlier activities of SSTC project? Would you like to take a minute and talk about it?
I was wondering if Duncan was still there, because I see his name, but I know he's in he has a new job now, Anita.
Come in, Anita.
He's here.
Yes.
So we can start with Duncan in that case.
Okay, thank you very much, and I'm glad to have been part of this journey. I think mine is just one that I think there's a lot of information that came throughout this process, and there's a lot of good practices. I remember, there are things that, especially in terms of digitalization, that both China, Ethiopia, and South Africa were really eager to learn from India in terms of, this platform that the government has put in place. So it will be good to try to see on how these participating countries can really utilize this and even explore further in terms of how this can be taken further, even away from SSTC support, but also exploring other opportunities for financing some of these. And then the last thing that I also wanted to point out is that every country, there was some roadmap that people came out with in terms of what are the way forward. So I do hope that this is not going to end here, but we can try as much as possible to look through some of these action plans that countries did commit to follow up. And I know, as always, Anita is available to give support and guidance. So we need to focus much more and just see in a way, even in the next biennium, how to fulfill some of those roadmap that came throughout this journey. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Duncan. Yes, you're completely right. We have so much already gathered with us that we can really work on the next phase of the project, but then that again depends on how it will be taken. I leave that decision to all of you. May I invite Ayalu or Anthony from Ethiopia or any other colleague who would like to...
Thank you, Anita. This is Ayalu from ILO Ethiopia office.
Yes, I am.
And today's webinar has taught a lot of things, especially from Indian experience, engaging the private sector on apprenticeship, and including digitalization and other aspects of employability. We have learned a lot. So regarding with this, I would like to invite Mr. Abel Haile. He is a managing director for Ethiopian Confederation of Ethiopian Employees Federation, to give a remark on today's lesson. Mr. Abel, would you come in, please? Hello, Mr. Abebe. Today the connection is poor in Ethiopia because of several events happening at national level.
Okay.
That's why we're in and off. Yeah. or Mr. Dawit from Confederation of Ethiopian Employees Federation Association.
Yes, can you hear me?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Yes, we can hear you. Okay. Thank you very much. It was a really very good experience that we shared from, the experts from ILO as well as from all over the world. So my take will be, and what we want to share with you is that in Ethiopia, we are just starting, being new to this apprenticeship and so on. We're just starting working with ILO on this case. We've done some piloting last year with ILO on a specific sector, which is the construction sector. And our employers, member employers, have shown some willingness in sharing their, giving to the society what they do have as a knowledge and experience in their industry. And they have also allowed some of the apprenticeship to come in and get experience and some practical knowledge in their workshops and so on. So the construction sector is keen in participating in this thing. They have shown the last 2 years. And this year, we're also launching another program with the support of ILO, still on the construction sector. And after seeing this, we want to develop it to other sectors also. So it's a very good experience that we're getting from you all. And hopefully, we want to make it digitalized, of course. That's what we are looking forward. And we're also embracing the IT sector to come here and support this program. As late as yesterday morning, I have been approached by the IT companies, to come and collaborate with us in any form of, thing they can support. So this will be a very good platform. And what you've seen, the Indian experience is really amazing. So sooner or later we'll be communicating with you guys, and we want you to share the experience to our IT sector to develop this digital platform so that the youth will be able to be employed, and also we employers will be able to get the right skill that we're looking for in the market. Back to you, Anita. Thank you very much for the chance.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Ato Dawit. So may I invite also Mr. Abba for 1 minute?
Sure.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Abba, please, your remark on today's presentation. I think if not, we can proceed because he has some technical problems.
Sure. And we can always come back to you during this webinar, not an issue.
Please, yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. David. And I think that is the kind of results we look at, when we talk of cooperation between different countries as to how one can learn from the other. So thank you for your comments and remarks. May I invite somebody from South Africa? Could be, I saw Babe here. So would you like to come in from South Africa to give your remarks? Babe? Or else we can move to China in the meantime. China, Miss Pan, is there, would you like to invite somebody from China to share their remarks or comments? Well, so let's do it this way. I think it's quite late for the webinar to really look forward to more comments. So whoever's willing can just raise their hand and feel free to share your comments. We still have a couple of minutes. Anthony. So Anthony, please come in.
Yes, thank you so much, Anita. In fact, this has been a very, 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 very rich journey, I must say. And thank you for your coordination, the enthusiasm that you've maintained, and everybody's participation. I just want to add my comments to my honorable person from the Employers Association that the enthusiasm of Ethiopia has really picked up after following the meeting in South Africa. And from this presentation today, it actually resonates well with what we're now doing. We have finally come to the roadmap implementation. First, we had a partners coordination that has been established for the agro-processing sector, for sector skills coordination. And then ILO has been delegated or a task by the ministry to lead in establishing the sector skills body on agro-processing. So we will be piggybacking on the experience from India specifically, and also from South Africa, these two countries. So a team of is being set up, and we'll be reaching out for your participation in that. And so there are two things that the takeaways as summarized. One is the registration, which is a key issue that the team is working on, and they are following up also on the recognition of prior learning. Those are the kind of things that they are working on. There are some experiences coming up, and especially for the registration for the job search tracking, and also for the training. It's very important, and that is an area that we'll be looking out to reach out to India in particular. A team is being set up for that purpose. And on the private sector engagement, to conclude with, as I said, the Honorable expressed, the private sector we are now pulling them along with us, and their enthusiasm is going to be very critical. ILO in particular, we are engaging the Employers Association on our apprenticeship programs to bring in the employers into the process. So we are coming up with an agreement, a special agreement with the employers associations on this to drive the process for us. So this will fill the gap of private sector engagement, private sector contribution, and private sector acceptance on the demand side. So this is what I just wanted to update you on, and that we'll be reaching out, working within the framework of the South-South Cooperation. Please don't stop that initiative now. We are still starting. We need to grow within that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anthony. And I completely agree with you that this is the starting point for most of us now. So I see Babe here from South Africa. So Babe, over to you, please.
Thank you. And I think I'm having a delay in my response in getting back to you. But really, my deep gratitude to everybody today for actually a wonderful session. I know I have a number of South African colleagues with me. Sabelo has joined, the CEO of QCTO. I think many of you visited as well, is present today. And of course, on our roadmap, the learnings from India was an absolute priority for us. The information today was overwhelming. There's just too much. I've been taking detailed notes. I look forward to seeing the presentation as well. But I think we as a collective need to unpack this and look at how do we actually take this forward. I think the model around the single portal is a wonderful idea. Digitalization is absolutely key to us. The fact that we can reach out into our rural environments. I can go on. There's been so many benefits that have come through on viewing today. I think there is no doubt that we will need further engagement with India when we've unpacked where we actually are. I think in terms of going forward, we're very privileged to have the ILO decent work country program. I think part of the ongoing work may well locate there, because we have employment and youth employment as one of our priority pillars. So we need to unpack with Sindili and the ILO office in terms of how we actually move this forward. But really, deep thanks to everybody. 2 hours of packed and overwhelming information and very rich and valuable. So thank you to all concerned. But I think we need to do the work now in terms of unpacking it and say, how do we use it at a national basis and how does it align with our objectives as well? If I may, I don't know if Sabelo, because of course he's my government lead on this, whether he'd like to add anything else at all. But Anita, to you and the team, enormous thanks.
Thank you so much, babe. Before I move to the closing remark, Anita, would you like to come in? Because there's been a lot of discussion about the program and how it can be taken forward, especially looking at the kind of interest the countries have in, coming together. So could be your last remark, and then we can move to Gabriel for the closing remarks. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And the good thing about having 2 Anitas is that when I hear congratulations to Anita, I just consider it as part of to myself.
Me too, same here.
Anyway, yes, I think this has been a long journey and a very great one. In the beginning, it didn't look as promising. Remember, we were a bit scraping to see how this would work. And then it really, we would really, try to have the best out of what happened. And I think it was really constructive and was really, how can I say, proactive. So I really find it very useful. Very kind of happy with the results. A lot of it in great photo albums, which are on the web, and others also in concrete reports, materials. And I think regarding the questions and the appeals that people made for us to maintain the project, the South project ongoing, from our side is fine, no problem at all. I think it would also be from the India, from New Delhi. So I see Ruchira smiling here. The ILO office in New Delhi, so Ruchira and Satoshi Sasaki, to actually propose the continuation of this project within the RBTC. Also try to find, of course, funding from all these countries concerned have their own sources of funding as well, and we know they're not only receiving cooperation, but they're also giving cooperation, in particular China, Brazil, China, India, and South Africa. So I think it's also possible to do some kind of collection of funds from different sources, including our own, and continue. I think that would be a great initiative. And I was also very happy to see that what the Ethiopian government had said also, that they were so government and tripartite partners, right? That they are already engaging with India and South Africa. So it'd be very good that this continues, this kind of cooperation, China, India, South Africa, Ethiopia. I mean, the whole, triangular thing, with or without with the ILO. Some of it can be even, of course, independent, and some others, please involve us, so we can capture them as good practices. So I think this would be my final words, and definitely let's make a very nice final report and good practices chart for that we can send to the UN Office of the South Cooperation and post it as a good practice. So also thanking all the colleagues here, including Duncan, that has worked very hard in this project, but now he's moved to another ILO project in Nairobi. So we're also very happy that he could join with us despite his new tasks. But as I think the current project, if I'm not mistaken, is on combating child labor. One of the forms of combating child labor is also promoting youth employment and apprenticeship. So I think that it makes sense to be here as well. So over back to you, Anita and Gabrielle.
Thank you so much, Anita. That was really nice of you to share those comments. So may I now invite Gabriel Bodadu, please, from India. He's the Skills and Employability Senior Officer in India, ILO. Gabriel, over to you, please, for your closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anita from HQ. Yeah, just would like to really, as a rejoinder, credit should be also given to the ILO country office of India, who was the prime mover of this project. So I think let's give a due credit with Satoshi and the colleagues from the India country office, because if not with them, and also the other country offices, particularly China, South Africa, and Ethiopia. Okay, so I was given the task to close this event or this webinar. And I think thank you for all attending and participating in the sharing of good practices in the apprenticeship. Yeah. Apprenticeships are essential part of the workforce development, providing workers with skills, knowledge that they need to succeed the workforce. Today, we have heard from India good practices on digitalization, particularly the DBT at the state level schemes. Reflecting on the views aired by Srinivas, our colleague from the skills branch, and our acting in charge, Ravi Perez, vis-a-vis the good practices now that we have and the other good practices that we have seen in the last few webinars, I would like to leave you with a few key takeaways from this. First, let me emphasize that partnership is essential to the success of partnership. Employers, educational institutions, and government agencies must work together to develop and implement effective apprenticeship programs. Second, apprenticeship should be accessible to all workers, regardless of their age, background, or experience. We need to develop more flexible and inclusive apprenticeship programs that meet the needs of the diverse workforce. Lastly, apprenticeship should provide workers with opportunities for advancement. Apprentices should be able to move into higher paying and more responsible positions as they gain skills and experiences. I believe that apprenticeship have the potential to transform the workforce and create an equitable economy. By working together, we can make apprenticeship a reality for all workers. Thank you again for your participation, and I wish you all the best in your continued work to promote apprenticeship. Over to you, Anita.
Thank you so much, Gabriel, and thank you for these really three crucial elements about apprenticeship. Your input has been really interesting, and I think these are the key to what we have been doing and what we are really trying to do to achieve in the sense of apprenticeship. So if anybody would just like to have a last remark before we close the session, please raise your hand. Anthony, your hand is from last time or it's new?
Oh, sorry, I didn't bring
It's okay. It's just fine. So in that case, let me thank everybody, each and everybody who participated in this webinar. As we mentioned that this is the last activity under this particular SSTC project. We really hope to remain connected with everybody. And as always, there will be a very short report that will go to Anita's unit, and it would be uploaded there on the website. So do visit the SSTC website to see all the details about different activities which have been taken up under the project. In case there are still any questions that you would like to raise to the team India who made the presentation today, feel free to write those questions and send it to us. We will make sure that you receive a response on those questions. Because as I understand very clearly that these are very heavy loaded presentation because the system itself is so complex. I'm sure it was very difficult for Mr. Arvind and Mr. Ramesh Babu to really concise it into few slides and present it. Sincere thanks to Mr. Arvind and to Mr. Ramesh Babu for having agreed to really join us and share your experience in terms of all these new developments that have been taking place. And of course, I would like to also convey our thanks and regards to Mr. Dwivedi, Dr. Dwivedi rather, who was not able to join, but then he has been always, very forthcoming to support the project. And he's the one who kind of agreed to the topics for the success practices, which have been shared today. So thank you, everybody, to each one of you. Thank you. Thank you for your time. And thank you for making this webinar a success. Okay, bye and great. Thank you.
Thank you, Shukriya. Shisha.
Shukriya.
Thank you,
Bye.
Bye. Namaskar.
Thank you.
Namaskar.
Bye.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.